The balance of power in Silicon Valley just shifted so hard that the shockwaves are physically rattling the windows at Microsoft headquarters. For years, the world assumed Intel was the aging giant on the ropes, while Microsoft was the rejuvenated titan of AI, riding the wave of ChatGPT and cloud dominance. But everything changed this week when Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger stepped onto the stage and detonated a strategic bombshell that has effectively dismantled Microsoft's AI exclusivity roadmap. We are talking about a move so bold and a technological pivot so massive that it hasn't just threatened Microsoft's stock price. It has allegedly wiped $40 billion in projected value and asset security from the portfolios of their biggest stakeholders, including the massive foundations linked to Bill Gates. This isn't just about a faster processor or a new laptop. This is about Pat Gelsinger exposing a fundamental flaw in the way Microsoft has built its artificial intelligence empire, and he's doing it by taking the power of the cloud and putting it directly back into the hands of the individual user. Today we are breaking down the moment Pat Gelsinger destroyed the Microsoft narrative, and why the era of the cloud monopoly is officially crumbling. The core of this conflict lies in a concept called the AI PC. But while Microsoft wants that to be a marketing term they control, Pat Gelsinger has turned it into a weapon against them. For the last 18 months, Microsoft's strategy has been simple: move everything to the cloud. They want your documents, your calculations, and your AI queries to run on their Azure servers. Why? Because that gives them total control over your data and a recurring subscription fee that never ends. But Gelsinger just pulled the plug on that dream. With the launch of Intel's Lunar Lake and the next generation of Panther Lake architecture, Pat has demonstrated that the localized power of a single chip can now outperform the latency-heavy cloud clusters that Microsoft is banking on. He revealed that the sheer efficiency of Intel's new silicon makes the mandatory cloud-dependent nature of Microsoft Copilot look like an obsolete relic from 5 years ago. This is a direct hit to the subscription model that Bill Gates' legacy was built upon, and the financial markets are reacting with pure panic. When Gelsinger took over as CEO, he didn't just come to fix factories. He came to reclaim the sovereignty of the personal computer. In his latest address, he made it clear that the future of AI shouldn't require a constant connection to a massive server farm in another state. He called out the hidden costs of the cloud: costs in privacy, costs in energy, and most importantly, costs in money. By proving that Intel's new neural processing units can handle the most complex language models locally without sending a single byte of data to Microsoft servers, he has effectively cut the cord. This is being called the Gelsinger doctrine. It's the idea that the hardware should be so capable that the operating system becomes a secondary consideration. If you can run your AI tools locally on an Intel chip with zero lag and total privacy, the value proposition of Microsoft's cloud services drops to near zero. That is where the $40 billion loss comes from. It's the sound of millions of enterprise customers realizing they don't need to pay the Microsoft tax anymore. But the bombshell goes even deeper into the architecture. Microsoft has been trying to pivot toward ARM-based processors, cozying up to companies like Qualcomm to create a Windows experience that looks more like an iPad. They thought they could leave Intel behind in the dusty bin of history. Pat Gelsinger just showed them why that was the biggest mistake in Microsoft's history. He revealed that Intel's x86 architecture, the very foundation of the modern computer, has undergone a radical transformation that makes ARM irrelevant. The new Intel chips are delivering better performance per watt than the best ARM chips on the market, all while maintaining 100% compatibility with the trillions of lines of code that businesses actually use. This has left Microsoft's ARM strategy in total disarray. They spent billions trying to port Windows to a new architecture, only for Intel to beat them at their own game on the original hardware. Think about what this does to the boardrooms at Redmond. They were betting everything on a future where they controlled the hardware specifications through their partnership with ARM providers. They wanted to be the Apple of the PC world, dictating exactly what kind of chip you could use. Pat Gelsinger's bombshell proved that Intel is still the king of silicon innovation. He demonstrated that the specialized AI engines built into the new Intel chips are so far ahead of the competition that Microsoft software literally cannot keep up. He exposed the fact that Windows is actually slowing down the hardware. In a jaw-dropping demonstration, Gelsinger showed AI tasks running faster on a clean Linux environment using Intel hardware than they did on the most optimized version of Windows 11. This is a public humiliation for the Microsoft software team. It proves that the operating system is no longer the innovator, it's the bottleneck. The financial ripple effect of this is what's hurting the big players. For decades, the wealth of people like Bill Gates has been tied to the indomitable nature of the Windows-Intel partnership. But now that the partnership has turned into an all-out civil war, the certainty of that growth is gone. Institutional investors are pulling back because they see a future where Intel empowers a world of open-source AI and alternative operating systems. If companies can buy Intel-powered hardware and run their own local AI models without a Microsoft license, the very foundation of Microsoft's valuation collapses. Gelsinger isn't just selling chips, he's selling independence from the Microsoft ecosystem. This is why the $40 billion figure is being tossed around in financial circles. It represents the loss of projected licensing fees and cloud service renewals that are now at risk because the hardware is simply too good to be contained. This technical mastery by Gelsinger is a return to form for Intel. For a few years, it looked like they had lost their way. But Pat Gelsinger has redirected the company toward what he calls 5 nodes in 4 years. This is a pace of innovation that the tech world hasn't seen in decades. By hitting these milestones, Intel is creating a gap that Microsoft software developers can't bridge. The hardware is evolving so fast that by the time Microsoft releases a new version of Copilot, the Intel chips in the wild are already capable of something 10 times more powerful that Microsoft hasn't even coded for yet. Gelsinger exposed this lie of the software-first future by showing that the silicon is the true driver of the AI revolution. Let's talk about the privacy aspect, because this is where Gelsinger really twisted the knife. Microsoft's AI vision is built on your data. They want to see every email you write, every spreadsheet you create, and every prompt you enter so they can refine their models. Gelsinger's Intel Bombshell centered on the concept of the edge. He introduced a vision where your personal AI lives on your Intel chip and never leaves your sight. He essentially framed Microsoft as the big brother of the AI age and Intel as the liberator. By providing the hardware that makes local AI possible, he has given consumers and corporations a choice they didn't think they had. You don't have to give your data to Bill Gates' company to be part of the future. You just need an Intel chip. This moral framing of the hardware has devastated Microsoft's marketing department. The sheer scale of the $40 billion hit also comes from the enterprise market. Thousands of companies were preparing for a massive migration to Microsoft's cloud AI services. They were ready to sign the contracts. But after Gelsinger's presentation showing the capabilities of local Intel silicon, those companies are hitting the pause button. They are realizing that instead of paying a monthly fee per employee to Microsoft, they can just buy a fleet of Intel-powered AI PCs that do the work for free once the machine is paid for. This is a massive shift in capital expenditure that favors Intel's bottom line while gutting Microsoft's recurring revenue. Gelsinger didn't just win a technical argument. He won a massive economic battle. The architecture of these new chips is something to marvel at. We're seeing the integration of high-bandwidth memory and advanced packaging that allows the processor to talk to the AI engine at speeds that were previously impossible. Microsoft's cloud servers, no matter how fast they are still limited by the speed of your internet connection. Gelsinger highlighted this flaw with brutal efficiency. He showed that for real-time tasks, like instant translation or on-the-fly code generation, the millisecond delays of the cloud feel like an eternity compared to the nanosecond responses of local Intel silicon. He effectively made the cloud look like a dial-up modem in the age of fiber optics. What's even more impressive is how Gelsinger has revitalized Intel's manufacturing. By opening up Intel's foundries to other designers while keeping the best technology for Intel's own chips, he has created a manufacturing powerhouse that Microsoft cannot ignore. Microsoft actually needs Intel to build its own custom chips for its data centers, which puts Intel in a position of ultimate leverage. Gelsinger can effectively dictate the pace of Microsoft's own cloud expansion by controlling the production lines. This is a chess move that has left Bill Gates and the Microsoft leadership in a state of checkmate. They are dependent on a company that is actively working to dismantle their software monopoly. The impact of this bombshell is also being felt in the world of education and government. These are sectors that are highly sensitive to both cost and data sovereignty. When Gelsinger demonstrated that Intel chips can provide a state-of-the-art AI experience without the need for expensive high-speed internet or intrusive cloud subscriptions, he essentially sold the future of global education. Governments in Europe and Asia, who are already wary of American cloud providers like Microsoft, are now looking to Intel's local AI hardware as a way to modernize their infrastructure while keeping their data within their own borders. This is a massive market segment that Microsoft was counting on, and Gelsinger just handed them a reason to walk away. We also have to consider the role of open-source software in this saga. Gelsinger has been a vocal supporter of making sure Intel hardware works seamlessly with open-source AI frameworks. This is a direct threat to Microsoft's proprietary Copilot ecosystem. If every developer can build powerful AI tools that run natively on Intel chips without needing any Microsoft software at all, then Windows becomes nothing more than a legacy piece of overhead. Gelsinger's Bombshell included a series of partnerships with top-tier developers who are committed to building for the Intel AI engine first. This is a complete reversal of the last 30 years. It used to be that you wrote for Windows and hoped the hardware would catch up. Now you're writing for Intel because the hardware is where the intelligence lives. The loss of $40 billion in value is just the beginning. As more people realize that the cloud-first narrative was a carefully constructed profit trap, the exodus from the Microsoft ecosystem will accelerate. Pat Gelsinger has provided the emergency exit. He has shown that the power of the most advanced technology on Earth doesn't have to be centralized in a few data centers in Washington state. It can be in your pocket, on your desk, and in your home. This democratization of AI is the ultimate bombshell. It's the one thing Microsoft feared most, because it takes away their ability to gatekeep the future. The history of tech is full of moments where a dominant player became complacent and was overtaken by a more focused rival. But it's rare to see a company that was nearly counted out, like Intel, come back with such a devastating blow. Pat Gelsinger's personal mission to restore Intel's glory has turned into an existential threat for Microsoft. He's not just a CEO. He's an engineer who understands that when you control the silicon, you control the world. Microsoft forgot that, and they are now paying a $40 billion price for their arrogance. As we look at the next generation of computing, the lines have been drawn. On one side, you have the Microsoft vision of a locked-down, cloud-dependent data mining future. On the other side, you have Pat Gelsinger's vision of a high-performance, local, and private AI world powered by Intel. The consumers and the markets are already starting to choose. The sheer excitement around Intel's new architecture is a testament to the hunger for something better than the subscription-heavy status quo. Gelsinger didn't just destroy a plan. He provided a better alternative. Bill Gates' Foundation and the other major investors in Microsoft are now facing a reality where their primary asset is no longer the undisputed leader of the industry. The competition is no longer just about who can make a better spreadsheet. It's about who can provide the foundation for the next century of human intelligence. By winning the battle of the silicon, Gelsinger has won the battle for the future. The $40 billion hit is a signal to the world that the Wintel era is dead, and a new era of Intel dominance has begun. But this time, it's an era where the hardware serves the user, not the software provider. The tech world is still reeling from the data Gelsinger presented, the efficiency numbers, the latency results, and the sheer scalability of the new Intel nodes are unlike anything we've ever seen. It's a complete fundamental rewrite of what a processor can do. While Microsoft was busy trying to buy their way into the AI market with massive investments in OpenAI, Intel was quietly reinventing the physical atoms that make AI possible. This is why the Bombshell was so effective. You can't simulate hardware with money. You have to build it. And Gelsinger built it better. The story of Pat Gelsinger and Intel is a reminder that in the world of technology, the only constant is change. But this shift feels more permanent. This feels like the end of the centralized cloud era and the beginning of the edge computing revolution. It's a future where you own your intelligence, you own your data, and you own your machine. Microsoft's biggest lie was that you couldn't have one without the other. Intel just proved that you can. And in doing so, they have changed the course of history. This has been a massive wake-up call for everyone in the industry. The days of taking Microsoft's dominance for granted are over. The days of Intel being a secondary player are over. We are entering a period of intense competition where the real winner will be the person who wants the most powerful technology without the corporate strings attached. Pat Gelsinger has delivered exactly that, and the $40 billion hole in the Microsoft empire is the first sign of the new world order. So, as we move forward, keep a close eye on the silicon. Watch how the new Intel chips are integrated into the next wave of devices. Watch how the software world reacts to the newfound freedom from the cloud. The bombshell has been dropped, the empire has been shaken, and the future is finally back in our hands. Pat Gelsinger didn't just destroy a roadmap, He paved a new one, and it's a road that leads away from the cloud and back to the true potential of the personal computer.